The thing is, if what you were asking was reasonable most of the time, a lot of men would have zero issue with it. And what I've noticed is there's never a differentiation with women on whether or not some behavior is extreme or not. It's just this vague thing where it gives women the right to just dictate his entire social media 24/7. And what I've noticed is sometimes a man will literally be following his cousins, his sister, other women, content creators that don't post like anything inappropriate, anything immodest. They happen to be beautiful because, I mean, let's be real here, most women are beautiful. So, it might be a woman that likes to cook or plays a certain game that he may like. And she doesn't want him to follow her because she's pretty and she's feeling insecure. And it's so weird how this topic is always coming back up in a different way. Oh, well, we don't want you to follow because we're embarrassed by it. It's one thing if that man is leaving all these comments that are flirty, like, oh, you're so sexy, you're so hot, to other women. Obviously, he's in a relationship. He should not be doing that. That's inappropriate. Or I would understand from a woman's point of view if he's following nonstop thirst traps, like every single account is one of those. I get that. But when I see women getting mad at men for following an account that's like, she freaking cooks, she likes to fish, she likes to hike, she likes to do the same things that he likes to do, rock climbing, whatever it is. At what point are you being insecure? At what point are you being jealous? At what point do you need to turn that inward and work on yourself? Because we never talk about that part of it. It's always women can have any expectations, standards, preferences, whatever you want to call it, out of relationships, and they're never held to any standard themselves. And that needs to change. And if you're an insecure person, that's okay. You're not a bad person because of that. A lot of us are insecure in day-to-day life. A lot of us might have insecurities in different ways. We all do. But there's a difference between expecting everyone to accommodate you and being like, okay, I think I have an issue in this spot that I need to work on. And also the whole embarrassing argument. It's like you may or may not know these women. Maybe some of them are your friends, but you're why do you care what she thinks of you? Why do you care what she thinks of your relationship? Again, that's where the insecurity is coming in. You care way too much about someone else's opinion of you. Now, there's a difference between you flat out being like, okay, I will not date a man who's following a ton of women that are thirst traps or whatever, OF accounts, whatever you want to call it. And that's your standard. And you won't even go into a relationship with someone who does that. There's a slight difference with that. Now, you have to have reasonable expectations out of relationships. Otherwise, you'll be single the rest of your life. But what bugs me is sometimes women, they know what they're getting into. And this goes for men too. Sometimes they know what they're getting into. And then you expect the entire person to change their entire personality for you. And that's not how it works. I think it's one thing to encourage your partner to grow as a person and better themselves and get closer to their goals. But at the same time, it should be their goals they're getting closer to, not your goals. You can even have a heart-to-heart conversation with your partner and be like, you know what? When you do blank, it makes me feel really insecure. It makes me feel bad about myself. I really don't like it. And then that puts the ball in their court where they can make that decision where it's like, okay, I don't want them to feel that way. And then they choose to not do that anymore. There's a difference between that and then forcing it. Also, I've seen some women, they get mad, they structure their man to be the man that they originally wanted, even though that's not who he genuinely was. And then they break up and the man goes back to his old habits that he used to have before he started dating her. And then she's mad about that. It's like, yeah, that's because you changed who he genuinely is. But he didn't want to make those changes, and that's not who he is. So he went back to who he actually is. I don't feel like I explained that very well. Also, again, with the vagueness of it. So he can't follow coworkers? He can't have friends? Like, where's the line? Is there a line? Or do you just get to wake up one morning and change your mind? Because that can create like him walking on eggshells in the relationship if there's no set boundary on where it's at. Where it's like, okay, I don't want you following women that post nonstop thirst traps. At least he can be like, okay, I agree with that or I disagree with that. And you guys could talk it out. But if there's no line, it's like, okay, well, where is the line? Again, if it genuinely embarrasses you and that's a habit he's always had, is that hill that you're going to on? Because if it is, why are you still with him? I'm not saying you necessarily deserve it, but sometimes you see women in relationships with men that are constantly skirting that line. They're borderline cheating. They're gawking at other women. They're messaging other women. They're flirting with other women constantly. And they stay with him long term. What, are you going to just keep begging and nagging him, even though he has chosen to not change that about himself? And is there a good man in your friend zone that you've maybe ignored that would never ever consider doing that? Because that's what I've noticed with dating for a lot of women, is they reward sometimes that bad behavior, and then there's men all around them that are good that would never do such a thing, and they don't give those men a chance. So if you have to micromanage your man into being someone that you actually respect, is he the right fit for you? Now, I'm not encouraging every woman to now dump their man necessarily, but if it's a constant thing, what are you doing? Also, if you're in a relationship with a man who has never been dishonest with you and he's always been loyal, you probably shouldn't be constantly making him feel like he's on eggshells with that. That can build resentment for him, and you may not realize that's building for him. Also, I'm gonna probably get hate for this one, but sometimes that man that's not very sneaky and secretive, he's a little bit more obvious about certain things. Sometimes that's the better man to be with, because you at least know what he's doing. Some of the men who are maybe actually cheating or doing something horrible and who are a little bit better at hiding it or being sneaky, again, you wouldn't know. So you really want to reward the man that's just honest about it at least. That doesn't mean you should excuse anything, but again, that's something to consider. Also, are you allowed to want male attention as well when you're in a relationship? If your man came to you and was like, I don't like it when you post half-naked photos on your social media, do you actually take that into account? Do you take down your photos? Do you ask him what you can do better, what he likes and dislikes? Do you also hold yourself to the same standard you're expecting him to follow? If he's not allowed to follow any women on his social media, are you allowed to follow men? Because it shouldn't go it needs to go both ways.